Welcome to The Print. I am Amina Begam Ansari. A video where a woman is seen falling off the roof of a building is making the rounds on social media. The young woman Aamina from Jalaun, Uttar Pradesh was reportedly thrown off a rooftop by her husband Arif and his family after being beaten like an animal. What was her crime? That her family couldn't meet the dowry demand of rupees 10 lakh. The news has been covered by local newspaper as well. We know that policymakers have tried to curb dowry through legislation, but most of those attempts have failed to bring real change on the ground in society. For example, researchers studied 40,000 marriages in rural India between 1960 and 2008 and found that the dowry was paid in the 90% of them despite it being illegal since 1961. So that's not a loophole we are talking about. That's entire system, and it does not stop at money changing the hands. In 2022 alone, over 6,000 dowry related deaths were officially registered according to NCRB data. So these aren't just statistics, they are women who have been burned, beaten, and silenced. But while we often talk about dowry in India and acknowledge that it cuts across all communities, all religious communities, the conversation rarely stopped to look at Indian Muslim. As a Pasmanda Muslim, I have noticed this gap again and again. Hardly any data, barely any whisper of discussion, and certainly no honest reckoning with how deeply dowry continues to harm women within our community. Just like this case of Amina, beaten, locked up, and allegedly thrown off a roof by her in laws, there are countless others. We just don't want to talk about them. Remember Aisha Banu, a 23-year-old woman from Ahmedabad who took her on live 4 years ago, left behind a video that pointed to the dowry harassment she faced. Her face haunted many of us, but still no serious change followed. So, whenever someone tries to talk about these issues within the community, the reaction is very predictable. People get defensive and said, but dowry is a sin in Islam, it's impermissible, we don't support it, as if just saying that somehow erase the reality of what's happening around us. It doesn't. Quoting scripture is not a solution when women are still being tortured, driven to suicide, or killed for dowry in our homes. If anything, this response just helps build a culture of collective silence and negligence where no one feels responsible. It's also important to understand where the practice of dowry among Indian Muslims really comes from. Islam talk about the meher, dower, which is a mandatory promise, gift, or money given by the groom to the bride, and this is her right and not to be confused with the dowry. But there is no such a mandatory dowry concept mentioned. So Islam gives women the right to inherit property, but in practice that inheritance is in a certain way often handed over the time of marriage in the name of Jahej or dowry. And once it enters the husband's household, it no longer remains hers. It becomes something everyone feels entitled to, in-laws, siblings, and relatives. So many try to justify it using the term Jeheze Fatimi, referring to the modest item that Prophet is believed to have given his daughter Fatima. But let's be honest, what we see today is far from that. Lavish goods, expensive clothes, cash negotiated between families, and grand hospitality for the Bharat. None of this is the religious, it's social pressure dressed in misplaced religious justifications. So the standard practice among Indian Muslims is to give daughter dowry in lieu of inheritance and then expect them to never ask for anything else. I have seen cases where if Muslim women dares to ask for her inheritance right, she's immediately reminded of how much the family spent on her marriage and how they gave her dowry, as if that cancel out her actual right. She's warned sometimes subtly and sometimes directly that claiming what's hers means she will lose all her relationship. So it's one of the saddest thing to witness. The same community which cries horses about following Sharia law whenever there is any talk of reform for women's right won't blink twice when it comes to the snatching away the rights already given to women under Sharia. So that's why I argue that the laws for Indian Muslim women should be based on social realities, not just an idealized version of Sharia, because the lived experience is far removed from the textbook version. You can't build justice on theory when practice is so deeply broken. Enforcement is one challenge, but even getting to a point where society accepts the need for reform is a battle in itself. For more such video, keep watching The Print.